Great. So welcome everybody to the August full moon gathering 2019. And so we're just going to go over a little bit of information so that y'all will have it and know how to get a hold of us, how to follow us. So we do have a moon gathering group, and that if you want to get into that on Facebook, the easiest way is to be www.joinmoongatherings.com. And so just mark your calendars. The next new moon gathering is Wednesday, September 4th, so right after Labor Day weekend. And to register for that, here is the link. And then we also have the full moon gathering, which will be, a month from now, which it's always the first and third Wednesday. So the full moon is on Wednesday, September 18th. And of course, this is the link there. And I always tell people to take a picture or, join our group because we also post it there. There's just a lot of ways to be able to find it. And then you will be, especially tonight, because he's looking so good tonight, you'll be dazzled by Ralph's brilliance here. So how to find him is www.astro-map-links.com. And he is an evolutionary astrologer and an astrocartographer. And then
and a poet.
And a poet, which y'all have all discovered. So Who'd have figured, right? Now, Ralph does this very cool 3D world map, and he always offers it for 50% off. So this is the link to be able to do that. So take a screenshot, take a picture, and that puts it at $25, folks. And it is absolutely a great deal and fascinating.
Yes, yes, yes.
And then, let's see. If you would like to know more about me, I have a directory listing, and you can just follow that link and be able to cover it. If you want to know more about Theta Healing, I do have a short YouTube video that explains it all. And also, if you'd like to know what all I do with Theta Healing and combine it with, there's the link for that. So also I have a belief, if you like the belief work, I do have a belief group, a Facebook group, and that's at www.joinblastyourbeliefs.com. Once again, if you'd like to know about the moon gatherings, find the links to be able to get the webinars. Once you join the full moon gathering or the full moon webinar, you'll always be contacted with it. They'll let you know every month. And then also, if you join the new moon, they'll let you know every month. So it just makes it really easy, and they'll send you a week out reminder. It's really good. So
yeah, especially for us without calendars. We love that. As always, in such appreciation of Brenda and all her beautiful work and making this happen.
My organizational skills, yay.
All I got to do is figure out how to turn the light on.
Every once in a while, he cleans himself up. He looks pretty good tonight, and he's got some light around him. And I don't know. You would think that this would be the new moon, or I guess the full moon. You're light like the full moon, Ralph. So I guess we'll go ahead and get started.
Well, I did actually go out into public and speak on Saturday. So it's like when you hide out in the desert. All right, I see Brenda has muted herself, so it's all me.
I don't want to get yelled at again. Go ahead.
Jeez, color me purple. All right, so the moon in the sign of Aquarius. So just a quick astrological lesson for those that don't know. Every sign of the zodiac has a planet that's affiliated with it, that kind of works with it, that's kind of helps bring that energy to the planet. Aquarius, the planet that's associated with Aquarius is Uranus. And Uranus is a very interesting planet. We're going to talk a bit about that today because I think it's important. So Uranus is a raw, authentic expression regardless of what other people think. Wherever you have Uranus in your chart, it is asking you to use your own internal guidance, not looking outside into the world. And so, like, for example, I have Uranus in the 12th house. So for me, my connection to the spirit world is something that I have to look to myself uniquely about. Now, Uranus, that's kind of the higher side of Uranus. Uranus is also God, I came up with a word of this and it's slipping my mouth. Self-define, need to self-define, to be kind of different than the rest of the world. And so there's this raw, authentic expression and this need to be self-defined or to be different, to be like unique. And that's inherently where Uranus can be very powerful and also get us into a bit of trouble. So just to kind of bring this into a personal story and to something that you all know, here we are talking at a full moon gathering, and your resident Uranus in the 12th house is probably not going to spend much time talking about the moon because I can't be like the rest of the moon talks. I got to be, unique to myself. Now, if you can pull that off in such a way where it works for you, it's a beautiful thing. So I'm gonna talk a little bit about the downside of Uranus, and then I'm gonna go to the higher side of Uranus. So Uranus is one of those things where you have to be different just for the sake of being different. And that's where it can sometimes get you into trouble. I was noticing in the last week, I had this interaction where this class that I take twice a year, they were wanting a deposit. And I know that they're never going to fill up. And so my Uranian side's like, I know you want a deposit, but I don't want to give a deposit. And there was this side of me noticing how my need to not play by the rules was going to get me in trouble in this situation. And even though I didn't want to, I made the higher decision to this, you know what? This isn't where I need to not play by the rules. I need to just kind of put my deposit in, let go of it, not play by the rules in an area that's potentially not going to keep me from something that I really want, because I would hate to not be able to get into this class. And so that's part of what this whole Uranus thing is. It's like your need to self-define and authentic communication. So if you're manifesting that Uranian energy in a healthy way, it's beneficial. But if you're not manifesting it in a healthy way, you'll start to see it manifesting in ways that aren't so healthy. It's like making a comment at work that's like, this doesn't work for me, or, in a relationship. One of the most challenging astrocartography lines is the Uranus on the descendant, which is Uranus as it relates to relating to other people. And interestingly enough, in my program, the very first sentence has something to do with this can be very challenging for your marriage. And the reality is that in relationship, it's about learning how to work together. And so if you need to be difficult, or if you need to be right, or you need to say a different answer, it's like, oh, isn't that a beautiful picture? Well, I don't like the or whatever. Oh, is that a blue sky? Oh, it's, it's violet. All these things can kind of get you into trouble. And really what Uranus really wants you to do is bring in information from the ether and uniquely express it. Bring in things that are new and different in a way that people can understand. So last time I talked a lot about the Leo aspect, about finding the audience and how important that was. And this time I want to spend a little bit more time on this authentic self-expression, and how the more you can really cultivate that, the more you can find. It's kind of interesting. I want to say find an audience, but it's like Uranus, pure Uranian energy doesn't care if there's an audience. But there's a way in which to really be seen, you need people to see you. So there's this little kind of disconnect, a battle between these two energies of like, I just want to say what I'm going to say regardless of what you think, and I need people to listen to me. Like here's, a prime example. It's like, I want to have my own unique moon gathering, maybe not ever talk about the moon, but I don't want to do it with no one. If there's no one listening to it, it's like, that's not going to fill me. So it's kind of like, I need to figure out how I can be authentic, but also reach a group of people who appreciate it. And that can bring in all sorts of challenges, especially if you're bringing in things that are really raw, really unique, kind of paradigm shifting. Because on Uranus is like earthquakes, tidal waves, sudden fluctuations, change. It's like blow it up, something new will happen. So yeah, that's great, but you don't want to blow your relationship up. You don't want to blow your job up. You don't want to blow your friendships up because there's aftermath. And so interestingly enough, for the last, I want to say it's a year or so, Uranus has been in Taurus. Previous to that, Uranus was in Aries. And Aries is kind of like, agreeing with Uranus. Oh, you want to blow it up? Okay, well, let's get all the TNT and make a big bang, Aries says. F them if they can't understand. Get in their face. Force them is an Aries kind of an assertion, warrior. Taurus, Aries is ruled by Mars. Taurus is ruled by Venus. And Venus is kind of like, okay, but what's that going to do to my home front? How's that going to make me feel when I'm at home? What about being calm? If I blow my job up, how am I going to buy groceries? If I blow my relationship up, who's going to go to sleep next to me? Who is going to hold me when I need to be held? Who am I going to talk to? And so there's a way in which this Uranus and Taurus, in my opinion, is a lot easier to manifest and deal with. In the sense that it kind of is softening that pure Uranian, just, make the change. It's new, it's better, let go of the old. Which another Taurus thing, Taurus can really understand the inability or the desire to not let go. Taurus can sometimes come across as stubborn, but it's a little more earthy than that. It's kind of like, I have a comfortable chair. I got a nice cup of tea. I'm all warm and cozy. Why would I want to change? Why would I want to go outside? Everything is comfortable. It's relaxing. I'm used to it. It's familiar, which is a very big Taurus kind of calming way. And so this Uranian energy is now working through the Venus rather than the Mars, which makes it a lot easier for us to integrate. So the other aspect of this that I wanted to talk about, and this is kind of getting more practical into how this can actually work in your life, in the real, just kind of in the nitty gritty of having things come through you. And one of the things about Uranian energy is to try not to make sense of it. Try not to let your rational brain get in the way of it. So I was having a conversation with a friend of mine about this subject today, and we were talking about how sometimes you create things and you have no idea why or what they're for. And that's fine, because really what you're doing is you're getting those creative juices, you're allowing them to flow, you're allowing them to manifest with no bounds. You know, it's like if you can only create, if you can only manifest things that you understand, you put this huge bound on what you can manifest. But if you watch and allow yourself to just create, you'll find often that the universe, God, or however you want to say it, the powers that be that are kind of orchestrating all this, will quite often get you to manifest something that you have no idea what it's about. And then maybe in a week or a month or a year, all of a sudden you'd be like, oh, wow, now I understand. Now it makes sense. And the important part of what I'm trying to say here is that if you were to stop the creativity because you don't know why, it's why am I doing this? It doesn't matter why. It's like don't let that get in your way. Just let the raw energy happen, and then you'll notice that some interesting synchronicities will happen. And it's a lot of times one thing will lead to another. I can't tell you how many times I've written things. You know, I've had a poem that'll come through and I'm like, wow, what's this for? And then for the next 3 weeks, it's like in every one of my readings, I'm all like, oh, you know what? I just wrote something that'll be very pertinent to what you're going through. And it's like, oh, okay. So it's kind of like the universe, Uranian, will come down and say, hey, this is what needs to come into the world. Are you game? Are you brave enough? And if you say yes, then you get to be the vessel in which that energy comes through. So do your best to not try to make sense of it. I'm not saying it always isn't going to make sense. Sometimes you're creative and you know exactly what's going on or why you're doing it. But it's not always the case. So it's important to just kind of let the things unfold and not necessarily need to know why. So if you want to leave the house that your Uranus is in your chart, if you know which house Uranus, the planet, sits in your chart, I can speak more directly to how this is interacting with you. Or if you want to leave which house Taurus is in, that's another way in which you can do it. So we've been talking about this cycle of the nodes of the moon. The north node of the moon, kind of where your evolutionary intention is going. The south node of the moon is the karma that you're bringing forth. And the north node of the moon sits in the sign of Cancer, ruled by the moon. And the rune's ruled by this Uranian energy. So we want to kind of step back and reiterate this Taurus thing. Because a lot of times Uranus energy, especially when it's associated with karma, you know, it's like the world needs to hear this. I say it, I end up getting killed. Oh, you know, and that's that pure, like, you know, throw myself into the fire because this needs to be said. And there's a certain power to that. But that's not coming from the moon energy. The moon is more of like, okay, so how can I utilize this to nurture myself? How can I utilize this to nurture and feed my soul? How is my creativity feeding me? You know, so it's like I could take this rebel energy and go do something that maybe gets me into conflict or otherwise, or I can bring it to a moon gathering, have people listen to me, and have my soul fed. And that's kind of what the moon is really, the north node is bringing in. The south node of responsibility, of taking on responsibility in the community. From a south node perspective, we're looking at how you overdo that. It's like, do I really need to die for the world so they can hear this? Or is there another way in which this can happen? So from a karmic perspective, if you have Uranian karmic or any of this kind of karmically, then very likely you kind of went down that road of self-sacrificing, but right now the transits with that south node in Capricorn, north node in Cancer, really wants you to focus on bringing this into your life in a way that nurtures, supports, feeds you in a non-self-sacrificing, but in a self-serving, self-feeding way. And this is kind of where it can get a little tricky, because that pure Uranian energy is that raw, authentic self-expression. And sometimes that can get you in trouble. Going back to what I talked about in the last moon gathering, audience selection is so important to all this. All the inner planets are still in Cancer, or excuse me, Leo. Mercury, Sun, Venus, Mars, all in Leo. Now, this is August 15th that I'm looking at, so things have kind of changed at this point in time. But the full moon is kind of a signature for the rest of the month, and also the rest of the cycle up until the moon, let me see, the new moon in Aquarius. Let me see if I can get this right. Sometimes my brain doesn't get the details when I'm talking from this place. So the full moon is in Aquarius. The next full moon in Leo, which will be quite a ways away from this time. And also the new moon in Aquarius, when the sun is in Aquarius, is kind of the beginning and ending of these cycles. So that's kind of what's happening right now. We're all kind of being asked to kind of step forward and bring this stuff in, look at it. So I think that's kind of what I have. Let me see if there's any questions. Was anyone able to bring in a house? So we have a Leo, definitely been pulling towards that big time. Nice to hear. I'm glad. Yeah, so with the Leo, it's really wanting you to step up in front of the right audience and have the courage to really authentically share things that are scary, things that are raw, things that are real, is what these transits are asking from you. All right. Now it's my favorite yes, yes, yes time of the evening.
All right.
The true reason why I'm here.
Right. It's the only reason he agrees to do these things.
Yeah, where else do I get to say yes, yes, yes all the time?
I have to say, and maybe I'm dating myself here, but hearing you say Uranus so much just kind of was like taking me back to like Wayne's World or something.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I get like, I was having a hard time focusing. That's all I'm going to say. Let's see here. So again, we are going to be doing some belief work, because the reason that we do these is so that you can understand what's going on in the planets and in the moon and what would be affecting us. Because I think sometimes you're just you know, we're feeling some things, or, you know, and in fact, it was so funny because somebody just said to me the other day, like, you know, I'm gonna have to watch the moon gathering because there's just some stuff going down, and I think it all makes sense. Ralph will make it all make sense to me. And I was like, he will, right? So it allows us to be able to have a little mercy, understand how to navigate some things. And then we do some belief work with Theta Healing so that we can just handle it a little bit easier and get some work done, right? So it pertains to what's coming up, but it's going to benefit us even more so in the long run. So with Theta Healing, we actually change beliefs on a cellular level. We change it on 4 different levels, which is this lifetime, past lifetimes, what we've inherited, and what we carry around in our soul. And it is, which is what Ralph was talking about, if this is your first time with us, is you have to verbally agree to it, right? Because when we do that, it actually tells God, the universe, whoever you believe to your higher power, that, yes, I want to do this. And it also tells our brain, right? Because our brain can limit us. So let's get started and then see if Ralph wants to add anything to this.
Yes, yes, yes.
So we want to remove the free-floating memory. So first off, we always start off with 3 basic beliefs. I want an instant healing, I deserve an instant healing, and an instant healing is possible. So with any new student or new client, I always make sure that they have those 3 in place. So if this is your first time, or it's not, you can just say yes anyways, because Ralph will, right? So if you'd like those, just say yes out loud.
Yes, yes, yes.
So what we primarily work on, because what we say from the perspective of Theta Healing is that when you have trauma, you create what we call free-floating memories, and you carry those memories with you. And what happens is that you either attract a similar situation so that you can be re-traumatized, or you project it onto a situation so that you are re-traumatized. So when we remove the free-floating memories from the original event, right, because you may be able to recall event now, but there may be something previously that you can't recall. So we want to go to the main source. When we remove the free-floating memories from that, it actually neutralizes it. So it allows us to keep the lessons, but it does not keep us attached to it. So we're going to remove the free-floating memories from the original event that prevent us from defining ourselves. So defining ourselves.
Yeah, I like that one.
We want to remove the free-floating memories from the original event that prevent us from having discernment on when to play by the rules. Okay? And we want to remove the free-floating memories from the original event that obligate us to play by the rules so that you have a choice, right? Because again, doing something, you know, too much is not good for any of us, right? So we want to have that moderation in it. And we want to remove the free-floating memories from the original event that prevent us from gathering the information from the ethers that's meant for us and to share it. So let's go, those are some pretty big ones that we're just kind of starting off with. So let's just go ahead and say yes to those, and let's go and do those first.
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay. And then we want to remove the free-floating memories from the original event that prevent us from expressing what we receive in a new and creative way. So anytime we get these types of downloads, it also does allow us to get how it serves us, what it feels like to do it differently, and that it's possible and that it's safe. So we're also going to remove the free-floating memories from the original event that prevent us from cultivating our self-expression. And we want to remove the free-floating memories from the original event that obligate us to only manifest things that we understand.
Yes,
Okay?
yes, yes.
So, yes, if you would like those, just say yes. Ralph beat you to the punch.
Yes, yes, yes.
We want to remove the free-floating memories from the original event that obligate you to ask why. So it's kind of that deal, why ask why. And
or the need to understand.
So we're going to remove the free-floating memories from the original event that obligate you to understand, to have to understand. Okay? We want to remove the free-floating memories from the original event that prevent you from recognizing synchronicities. And we want to remove the free-floating memories from the original event that obligate you to make sense of things. And we also want to remove the free-floating memories from the original event that prevent you from recognizing what needs to come into the world. We want to remove the free-floating memories from the original event that prevent you from letting things unfold without controlling them. So if you would like those, just say yes out loud.
Yes, 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 yes.
We want to remove the free-floating memories from the original event that obligate us to self-sacrifice. And we want to remove the free-floating memories from the original event that prevent you from nurturing, supporting, and feeding yourself.
So I want to.
Okay, go ahead.
You go first.
No. And I know, right? I can't interrupt him, but here he is with me. Just kidding. And so we also want to remove the free-floating memories from the original event that that make it a sin to do things in a self-serving way. So what would you like to add, Ralph?
So one of the elements that I find that around this particular subject is your owning of your own physical body. Because a lot of times people, when they have some trauma and they let the body go, then they come forward and then it's hard for them to like, oh, this is mine. This is for me. And that's.
So are you saying that we want to look at something that prevents us from being in our physical body, or that what work do you think needs to be done, Ralph? I'm just wanting to understand that.
Permission or owning the physical body as being for you, I think is the way I would put it.
Okay.
Or so however, I'm sure however you say it will be beautiful.
Okay. So let's see here. So we want to remove the free-floating memories from the original event that prevent us from recognizing, being, and owning our physical selves.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Okay. And then we want to remove the free-floating memories from the original event that prevent us from having discernment. Let's scratch that. Let's just remove the free-floating memories from the original event that prevent us from connecting and being in our raw, authentic self. And then we want to remove the free-floating memories from the original event that prevent us from expressing that and having discernment on who to express that with. And we want to remove the free-floating memories from the original event that prevent us from stepping up and stepping forward. We also want to remove the free-floating memories from the original event that prevent us from trusting our intuition. And we want to remove the free-floating memories from the original event that it is a sin to nurture one's self. Yes. So if you would like those, just say yes out loud.
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay. So a couple things. You know, if you're watching the recording of this, or if you're sharing the recording with someone, so please feel free to share this, right? And feel free to invite people to participate in this, even if it's just joining the webinar link so that they can watch it later, right? When you say yes out loud, you receive the downloads. So Ralph, is there anything else that you want me to cover?
I don't think so. I feel like we're pretty complete.
Gosh, we were wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. This time, man, we were pretty close. So, you know, what I love is that some of y'all had some questions and comments for Ralph. Some of you also had some additions of some work that you wanted me to do. So y'all on the webinar, if there's anything else for either Ralph or I, speak now or hold your peace for 2 more weeks until you see us again. So I'm going to give them a minute.
Yeah, and so and someone at least have their house next time, please. You're killing me over here.
Ralph doesn't understand it in some ways. He's like speaking Greek to us because I'm all like, I'm like, okay. So we're good, everybody.
Am I speaking Greek?
No, actually, you know what I hear all the time, Ralph, is that you're like the first astrologer that makes sense for people that they're hearing. So I think that's great feedback.
Oh, wow. That's an honor. Thank you. Thank you.
Look,
thank you.
Kathy has posted Uranus in 5th house.
Oh, 5th house. Awesome. 5th house is creativity, freedom, allowing yourself to have some kind of an artistic expression. I have a friend who's a big musician, and he refuses to listen to anyone else's work. And the reason why is because it changes his. It's like you start comparing. And so there's a way in which you need to kind of tune the rest of the world out and find your raw, authentic sun expression and yeah, enjoy life. It's, you know, the 5th house is about fun. It's, you know, love affairs, it's creativity, it can be children. But there's several self-centered houses. The 1st house is self-centered, and the 5th house is a self-centered house where it's important to put your needs first. How was that?
Good. And do you see that people are, and Kathy said you were spot on. And Meredith has said SAG 3 degrees of 6th house.
Oh yeah, so the 6th house So the sixth house is like the codependent house. It's like, oh, let me take care of you house. It's the house of service. It's not the codependent house, but it's a house that can kind of justify codependent. It's this idea of being of service. And so one of the things for you is to authentically be of service in a way that's unique to you, and using your information. Now, it can kind of be on that line of being more authentic and serving others, or it can be more serving others, but in a self-serving sort of way. So without looking at the rest of your chart, but the way in which you serve other people needs to be defined by you, and that's kind of what's going on there. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. You totally made my day.
And just so you know, right, this is where we're starting is, giving you some information about the planets, about the moon, doing some belief work. But we've got some cool things that are coming down the line here. But we're just letting you know who we are and what we do and how much fun it is to be able to be part with Ralph and I. It's almost a little comical.
Yeah.
So, all right. I think we're done for the evening then. We thank you so much. And of course, this went Facebook Live. So feel free to find us and share it if you'd like some people to be able to see it as well. All right. So again, we thank you so much for participating. And we will see you in 2 weeks. Right?
Awesome. Yes.
All right.
2 weeks.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye.